This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by
NotBadAnymore.com. Well, isn't this poetic justice? The 3 federal government thugs who voted to take away your privacy through the real ID have now had their own national identity cards used against them. The news breaking yesterday, March 21st, Senators Clinton, Obama, and McCain all have their personal passport data compromised by curious State Department employees. All 3 senators voted for the controversial Real ID Act, which would have imposed a sort of passport system inside the United States, or at least a situation that has similarities to the passport system. In many ways, it would have actually been worse. Having a Real ID would be worse than having a passport. But anyway, if Washington cannot protect the relatively limited data, the limited passport data, of these very important, influential people, how's it ever going to protect your data when you're having to submit a lot more data for the Real ID, and it's going to be stored in multiple locations? Well, the answer is they're not. And if you are in a state that is deciding to go along with the Real ID, your identity is in trouble. There are only 3 states in the Union that thus far have completely held the line against Real ID. Only 3 states where you can be assured that you'll be able to go get a driver's license without having to jump into the Real ID system. If you live anywhere else, then at some point over the next few years, you will have to go through a difficult license renewal process and put your data in a giant database that will maybe include biometric data and very personal information. The 3 safe states for now are South Carolina, Montana, and New Hampshire. New Hampshire's governor has refused to go along with the Real ID and has, like Montana and South Carolina's governor, taken a pretty strong stand. And the Department of Homeland Security seems to be blinking. It looks like we are not going to be punished for our stand, and we're going to be able to keep our relatively privacy-friendly driver's licenses. Now, there was additional breaking news on March 21st when Montana's governor announced that he had backed down the Department of Homeland Security. Homeland Security Director Michael Chertoff has granted Montana an extension, a waiver, a pass on Real ID, even though Montana's governor never asked for one. So Montana, because of its strong stand, gets to have it both ways. They have no need to implement the Real ID, and they will not be punished. Woe to the states who have gone along, however. Those states have committed to drastic changes in their driver's license regimen, but it turns out they haven't avoided any punishments, because the Department of Homeland Security was bluffing all along, and no punishments were in the offing. At least, that's what the Montana situation indicates. So it's time for the 3 holdout governors in South Carolina and New Hampshire and Montana to realize they can continue holding as firm as they want. They'll be okay as long as they hold firm. And for other states like Pennsylvania and Oklahoma who have sort of halfway gone along with Real ID, but tried to sort of take a stand, it's a chance for them to stick some backbone in their spines and dig their heels in, whereas before I think they were starting to give way. If I were you, though, I'd just move to New Hampshire and avoid all that concern. You're not going to have to take a Real ID here, I don't think. If for some reason we were to implement Real ID in New Hampshire, I believe that hundreds of thousands of New Hampshire residents would refuse to go along, and it would simply mainstream the whole concept of driving without a license. Like I'm always saying, if Homeland Security backs down, we win. If they don't back down, we win. This is, after all, New Hampshire. And I am Dave Ridley at RidleyReport.com, about to sign out, but first, actually, I would like to add one other piece of trivia information to the Real ID situation in New Hampshire. In New Hampshire, we have a law that forbids cooperation with the Real ID type system, and that's one of the things that makes it easier for our governors and legislators to refuse cooperation with Washington. They know that if they did it, they'd be breaking the law. Does your state have such a law?
Did the Foodstuffs Consumption Authority force you to eat too much over the holidays? Well, this man would like you to learn how to lose 5 to 20 pounds in just 9 days. See for yourself at notbadanymore.com. The doctor who says he's lost 37 pounds in just a month. The technique of accelerated weight loss through nutritional cleansing. The website, notfatanymore.com. Scroll to the bottom, click on the link. Watch the shocking video, Cleansed for Life. Notfatanymore.com.